what looks like broken English, a title about trees. But when you actually read it...
I mean, really read it.
Yeah, it just stops you cold.
It's the definition of a glitch in the Matrix moment.
Mm-hmm.
You're scrolling past millions of pieces of content, and then suddenly you hit this one specific entry that feels, well, profound and weirdly specific.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are putting aside the bestsellers and the long-form journalism. We are doing a forensic analysis of a single, tiny, but fascinating digital artifact.
I love these ones.
The source is a transcript from a channel called Jayasekaran, and the video title is Artistic Aspects in the Life of Trees. That's the English translation from the original Tamil.
And right away, that title gives you pause. Artistic Aspects in the Life of Trees.
Yeah.
Usually we talk about the biological aspects of trees or the ecological aspects. But artistic. It implies the trees are performing.
Or that they have some kind of aesthetic agency.
Exactly.
But the title isn't even the weirdest part. It's the author, the person observing these trees. We have a name, J.S. Shekhar. And we have a location, the Poe District in the Republic of India.
Okay.
But it's his job title that just threw me for a loop.
It's a collision of worlds, isn't it?
It really is. So let's look at the hard data first.
Okay.
J.S. Shekhar is working at a place called Manakaram. Now, based on the context clues in the source, this is a campus or maybe a facility of some kind. And his role, he's a security guard.
Okay, let's just hold that image for a second.
Yeah.
A security guard in an industrial or administrative district in India. We know what that looks like.
We do.
It's the khaki uniform, the lanyard, probably a logbook. It's standing at a gate while the rest of the world rushes past you. It's a role defined by vigilance, sure, but also by invisibility. You are part of the infrastructure.
You open the gate, you close the gate.
You're just there.
But J.S. Shekhar doesn't just see himself as a guard. In the transcript, he introduces himself with a very, very specific string of words.
Here it comes.
He calls himself an invisible, trained transactional analyst.
And that is where the record just scratches to a halt.
Trained transactional analyst. Now, I know the basics of transactional analysis, TA. It's Eric Bernet, right? The 1950s. Games people play.
That's the one.
It's usually the stuff of, like, corporate boardrooms or couples therapy.
That's the popular context, yes.
Yeah.
But at its core, TA is a theory of personality. It says we all have these three ego states operating inside us. The parent, the adult, and the child.
Right.
And every interaction we have, every transaction, is coming from one of those states. So if I scold you, I'm in my parent state. If you pout, you're in your child state.
And if we discuss the budget rationally, we're both adults.
You got it.
So this isn't just a hobby for him. To be a trained analyst means you actually studied the structures of human interaction.
Oh, yeah. You understand the hidden games people play to get attention or validation.
And yet, he's standing in a security booth in the Poe District.
It's a jarring juxtaposition. You have this high-level psychological framework, usually for clinical settings, being deployed by a man whose job requires him to be socially invisible.
Which begs the question, is he analyzing the people walking through his gate?
He almost certainly is. I mean, think about it. If you're a guard, you see people in their rawest moments.
Oh, totally.
The stressed executive shouting on the phone, that's the critical parent. The nervous intern fumbling for their badge, that's the adapted child. He's not just checking IDs, he's diagnosing ego states.
That makes him sound like a spy, the invisible analyst. It changes the power dynamic completely.
Because
the people passing him think he's nobody, but he's actually the only one in the room who understands why they're acting the way they are.
Precisely. And he embraces that invisibility. He calls himself invisible. He knows his social standing, but he counters it with his intellectual standing. It's a reclaiming of agency.
Okay, let's ground this in the timeline, because the source is so specific about when this all happens, and honestly, the date is a bit of a head-scratcher.
It is. The transcript dates the event to Thursday, the 5th of February, 2026.
2026. So depending on when you're hearing this, that's either right around the corner or it's already happened. It frames this as a near-future narrative.
Or it's just a timestamp from a recording made in that year.
Yeah.
But let's assume it's accurate. It anchors us in a specific moment. It's not timeless poetry. It's a diary entry.
Thursday, February 5th, 2026. And the time, about 3:00 on the afternoon.
The witching hour.
The 3:00 p.m. slump. The universal moment of human boredom.
Oh, yeah. The coffee has worn off, the lunch is sitting heavy, and the end of the shift just feels miles away.
And boredom is crucial here, isn't it?
It's everything. There's so much research on boredom as a catalyst for creativity. When the brain is starved of external stimulation like standing at a quiet gate 3 p.m., it starts to generate its own. It turns inward.
So we have our invisible analyst, J.S. Shakar. He's bored. He's trained to analyze things. And suddenly something happens, the source says. A bunch of trees which appeared outside the campus.
And you have to note the word appeared.
Yeah, that stuck out to me too. Trees don't walk. They don't just show up. They were presumably there at 2:00 p.m.
Exactly. But they didn't exist for him until 3:00 p.m. This is a shift in perception, almost a Gestalt moment.
The background became the foreground.
Right. Maybe the light changed. Maybe the wind hit the leaves in a certain way. But suddenly, the static scenery became an active participant in his day.
And because he's an analyst, he doesn't just look at the trees. He analyzes his transaction with the trees. He's engaging with them. And this leads us to the most complex and honestly the most debated line in this entire text.
I think I know where you're going with this.
The phrase is, these trees attracted his autistic wives.
Attracted his autistic wives.
Okay. We have to unpack this.
Yeah.
Because on a first read, it sounds impossible. Or like a bad translation.
It's very likely a translation artifact. We know the original video is in Tamil. The English transcript might be auto-generated or, self-translated by someone who isn't a native English speaker.
So wives might not mean literal spouses.
It's doubtful. It's doubtful he has multiple wives present at his security job at 3 p.m. In many South Asian languages, words for a woman or partner or feminine presence can have these nuanced meanings that don't map one-to-one with English.
But then you add the descriptor autistic. That is a very specific clinical word.
Especially for this guy.
Right, a guy who knows his clinical terminology. He knows what transactional analysis is. He probably knows what autism is.
That's the friction point.
Yeah.
If he's using autistic in the clinical sense, he's describing a neurotype, a specific way of processing the world, often with intense focus, sensory sensitivity, a different way of relating to social cues.
So here's my theory. What if he's not talking about other people at all?
Okay.
What if autistic wives is a metaphor for Persis himself?
Go on. That's interesting.
Well, in TA, you have these ego states, right? The child, the parent, maybe he has other states within him that are highly sensitive, highly attuned to nature, maybe nonverbal.
I see where you're going.
And he calls them his autistic wives because they are intimate to him, but they process the world differently than his adult security guard persona.
Wow. That is a fascinating read. You're suggesting he's personifying his own sensory processing. The trees didn't attract him. The guard. They attracted his sensitive, inner, perhaps neurodivergent side.
The side that doesn't care about security protocols but cares deeply about the way light hits a leaf?
Exactly. It's like you're saying, the part of me that is obsessed with patterns and details, my autistic side, fell in love with these trees. And he uses the word wise to show how precious and intimate those parts are.
It seems to fit.
It really aligns with the artist identity. The artist is often the part of us that is hypersensitive, that notices what others miss. If he feels invisible to the world, maybe he feels his inner world is a separate family entirely.
It's haunting, actually, standing alone at a gate but feeling surrounded by this internal family of sensations.
And notice the transaction again. The trees attracted. It wasn't passive. The trees exerted a force.
Right.
In physics, attraction is a force between bodies. In TA, a transaction is a stimulus and a response. The trees provided the stimulus.
And the autistic wives provided the response. So what does he do with this intense, weird moment of connection? He doesn't just log it. He writes a poem.
The source says, the above Tamil poem was written by J.S. Shakar.
He switches languages. He's operating in an English administrative world, Republic of India, Monocaram, transactional analyst, but his heart speaks Tamil.
That code switching is crucial. English is the language of his job, the language of his adult ego state, the language of this transcript.
Like
Tamil is likely the language of the child ego state, the creative, emotional, spontaneous core.
So the trees bypass the English-speaking guard and speak directly to the Tamil-speaking poet.
Exactly. The reaction was so strong it necessitated a shift in language. He couldn't capture the artistic aspects of the trees in the language of the security logbook. He had to go to his mother tongue.
I love the idea that poetry is a reaction. We usually think of it as a creation, but he frames it almost like a chemical reaction. Trees plus boredom plus analyst equals poem.
It's cause and effect, and it highlights that creativity isn't always a choice. Sometimes it's a reflex. If you are sensitive enough, if you have those autistic wives inside you, you have to respond to the beauty. You can't just ignore it.
let's talk about the final piece of this puzzle. The transcript ends in a very specific way. It says he was writing these lines with the title, "Thanks for listening."
Thanks for listening.
Now, is that the title of the poem, or is he just signing off?
It's beautifully ambiguous, but let's look at it through the lens of transactional analysis again. In TA, there is a concept called strokes. Yes. A stroke is a fundamental unit of social recognition. If I say hello to you, that's a stroke. If you smile back, you gave me a stroke. Burns said that people have a hunger for strokes.
Okay.
If we don't get positive strokes, we'll provoke negative ones just to feel something. To be ignored is the worst fate.
Invisible.
Exactly. If you identify as invisible, you are stroke deprived. You are starving for recognition.
So, by titling the poem, "Thanks for listening," or ending the note with it,
He is initiating a transaction. He is sending out a stroke into the void. He is saying, I have seen these trees, I have felt this thing, and now I am telling you, please acknowledge me.
it's a bid for connection. He's breaking his invisibility.
It's incredibly vulnerable. A security guard is supposed to be a wall. This man is opening a door. He's saying, I am here, I am thinking, I am analyzing, listen to me.
And the irony, of course, is that he's doing this on a YouTube video with a transcript that barely anyone might read. It's a message in a bottle thrown into the digital ocean.
And yet here we are,
Here we are.
in a deep dive, analyzing his psyche, discussing his ego states, debating his translation choices. The transaction was completed. We are listening.
That's the power of the internet, isn't it? It connects the invisible analyst in Poe District with you listening in wherever you are right now.
It validates his existence. It proves that he isn't just part of the furniture at Manicaram. He is a creator.
I want to zoom out for a second. We spent a lot of time on the psychology, but let's look at the setting again. Manicaram, the life of trees.
It's the contrast that sells it. If this happened in a botanical garden, it wouldn't be interesting.
Man walks in garden, likes trees,
Mhm.
boring.
Right. It's because it happened at Manicaram. It's the industrial versus the organic, the concrete versus the green, the trained analyst versus the wild, autistic nature. It's a clash, and that clash is where the art comes from.
So what of this whole thing? We've looked at J.S. Shakar, we've looked at the date, the psychology, the weird phrasing. Why does this matter to the person listening to this right now?
I think it matters because it shatters our assumptions about the people around us. We operate on heuristics.
Okay.
We see a uniform. We assume functionary. We see a barista. We assume service worker.
Mm-hmm.
We rarely stop to think, what is this person's internal expertise?
We don't ask, is this person a trained transactional analyst?
Right? We don't ask, is this person writing a poem in their head right now? We assume the world is mundane because we are engaging with it in a mundane way. But J.S. Shakar proves that the world is only mundane if you let it be.
He turned a 3:00 p.m. security shift into a moment of profound psychological and artistic connection. He refused to be bored.
He used his training. That's the key. He didn't just daydream. He applied his analytical framework to the world around him. He didn't turn his brain off. He turned it up.
So the challenge for us and for you listening is to find your own invisible expertise. What is the thing the framework you have that you can apply to a boring situation?
Maybe you're a musician. How does the traffic sound to you? Is it rhythmic? Maybe you're a coder. Do you see the logic loops in the way people order lunch?
Or maybe you're just someone who needs to stop and look at the trees outside your office window.
And let them appear to you. Really appear.
So I want everyone listening to think about their commute tomorrow or their coffee run. You are going to pass a dozen people who are essentially invisible to you.
The maintenance crew.
Yeah.
The drivers. The guards.
Pick one and ask yourself, what is their secret title?
If J.S. Shakar is the invisible trained transactional analyst, who is the person scanning your groceries, are they the invisible historian, the invisible biologist?
And what bunch of trees is inspiring them right now where you're busy chatting your email?
It's a humbling thought. It reminds us that we are not the only main characters in the simulation. Everyone else is running a script just as complex as ours.
And they might just be writing poetry about it in a language we don't speak.
Exactly.
Before we go, I have to ask, do you think J.S. Shakar ever shared the poem with his boss at Manicaram?
I highly doubt it. That would be a cross transaction. The boss expects a security report, adult to adult, and Shakar hands him a poem about autistic wives, child to parent. That's a recipe for getting fired.
Keep the poetry for the internet, folks. It's safer here.
And keep your autistic wives close. They're the ones who see the beauty.
J.S. Shakar, if you're out there, in the Poe District, in 2026, Thanks for the poem.
And thanks for the analysis.
And to you, listening, thanks for listening.
Thank you.